Hello my dears, welcome to blog number 61. Seems insane that I'm still doing this after everything that I've been through. As you guys know, if you've been watching my journey, I've actually fully transitioned. And I've had my surgery over 2 years ago now. So ordinarily this is when trans people actually generally stop doing these videos, just because they've done what they set out to do. Therefore, is there any real need to share this stuff? I think there is. I think there's a reason to share this stuff because one, it lets you guys know what I'm doing, because let's face it, everyone's nosy. It's human nature. Some of us just like knowing what people are getting up to and what they're doing. So I want to share it for that reason, but I also want to share it for the reason to help inspire others. I still think that I have something to say, and I'll keep doing this stuff until I figure that I've got nothing more to say. And anyone who knows me knows that that's never the case, so I'm here to stay. Sorry, not sorry. Okay, so, well, unless you've been living under a rock, you all know I'm transgender, and yesterday was a very special anniversary for me personally, just because to the day it was 6 years since I started this incredible adventure. Can't believe I'm actually finally over 6 years. I'm in my sixth full year of transition. It's crazy. I wish that I could go back and tell the me that you can see in blogs 1, 2, 3 and 4 how happy I was going to be, but I'm also glad that I can't, and it's going to sound odd saying that, but I'll tell you why. Quite often the struggle that you go through, whatever your journey is, could be to do with your gender identity, your sexuality, your education, your relationships, your career, whatever those difficulties are. The thing about difficulty is that you must go through that difficulty to learn something about you, yourself, your journey, or whatever that is. I'm not going to say that my transition has been easy, because that would be lying, but I think that it's been relatively easy when I look at others around me. Especially those who are transgender men. I have some friends who have gone through 20 surgeries plus and they're still having difficulties with what they have. I can't imagine what that must be like and feel like for them. But you know, they still keep going. Being a part of the LGBTQIA plus community has given me, I guess, a privilege. I want to say privilege to be able to see and socialise and speak to people that ordinarily wouldn't have spoken to in my former life. And these people are absolutely astounding. You know, the fact that they keep going through the adversities that they've gone through, the fact that they don't lose their humour even when things are absolutely terrible, and the fact that no matter how much hatred or bigotry that they face, they still keep going on their journey. And that's one of the messages I want to deliver to you people today. I've been sexually assaulted in a nightclub, in a gay nightclub as well. I've been shouted at hatred in the street. Quite a lot, especially very early on in my transition. I would say the first 18 months to, in fact, probably the first 3 years, I struggled with a lot of transphobia and homophobic comments, and that was just in a day-to-day life. You know, simple things like walking to work, or walking around where I used to work in my lunch break, the town where I used to work in my lunch break, or getting the bus, or, you know, just being in town, being in a pub or whatever. I faced abuse just for doing that, just for going through my everyday life. And it's really hard for people to understand unless you've been through it, and it was for me as well. I didn't really get it. You know, I faced misogyny, sexism, transphobia, homophobia. What has never changed though is my determination to live my truth and be myself. I think that maybe they thought that they were testing me, testing how real this was. I have no idea, and I don't really want to know. I just know that no matter what anyone has said to me or thrown at me, I've kept going on my journey because it isn't about them, it's about me. And that's the most important part of any difficult transitional period that you're going through in your life. You have to look at what you're going through and the lessons that you're learning in the process, and use them as they're lessons. If you make a mistake in your transition, there have been many times when I've said stuff and people have said to me, do you know what, that's not really how a woman would normally react, or, you know, they try and give me pointers because it's how a better person would react, and I'm glad for those pointers. Sometimes they're welcome and sometimes they're not, and I'll tell you why they're not. They're not because, do you know what, I'm me, and I'm okay with my flaws, I'm okay with the mistakes that I make. There are times I make mistakes and I want the ground to swallow me up, but so does everyone. It's part of life. So please don't beat yourself up when you make a mistake, especially if you're in a period of transition. You're learning how to be you. You're learning to be a new you. I also want to share with you that even though I'm 2 years post-surgery, it's probably, you go through phases in your transition when you're happy with what you've got. You're happy with how your body is and the relationship that you have with your body. And I have many friends, especially on the internet. The internet's a wonderful thing because it made the whole world a lot smaller. And I have friends in America, in Australia, New Zealand, etc. But I share my transition and journey with them, and I help support them through social media, and that's been a wonderful thing. To my friends out there who are, you know, just over a year into their journey, keep going. The person sitting in front of you now isn't the person that I was at year one, and a lot of those people are actually far, if they step back and look at where they were, they would see that they're far, far, far further forward than I was after 12 months. The thing is, it's not a competition. Everyone transitions in any period of life that they're going through a journey or of change, whatever that is, at different rates. Some people just take to it like a duck to water. Other people take to it pretty much like a brick to water. You might float for a millisecond while the water dissipates and then you just sink. And, you know, in times of struggle, in times of stress, in times of hurt and pain, you will quite often, as you're going through that, you will analyse. You will wonder why it's happening to you. You will want it to change, absolutely, but you will also learn lessons about yourself, gain resilience, and grow from it. No person, when they're going through a great thing, when they're going through a good thing, when life's treating them well and everything's going right as it should be, how many people stop and think, hang on a minute, something's not right here because everything's going right, or I wonder why that's went well. You don't analyse when things are going well, because unless you are an overthinker, because ultimately when things are going well, you just expect it. Yet when life throws us a curveball, or when life gives us a bad experience, we think that we shouldn't have it, or we think that something's wrong. You're meant to have that experience, whatever it is. And, you know, there are some horrendous experiences, and I know bad things happen to good people. I'm not saying that bad things should happen to good people, but ultimately what you go through, you grow through. So I wanted to share that with you, kind of one of the reflections that I have for this last 6 years. But I did go off the subject a bit, so I'll come back to it now. But yeah, I was saying about people coming to terms with themselves and stuff, and how I've gone through stages in my transition. I would say after 6 months or so, I was quite comfortable in myself. And then maybe struggle for a bit, and then 12 to 18 months I was okay. And then my body started changing more so with the hormones. I actually really started to blossom as a result of the hormones with the, you know, breasts and stuff. And then I felt fine in myself. And then I was pretty good from 2 years to 4 years in my journey. And then all of a sudden I had surgery and I wasn't good at all. You'd think that when you get to your goal that you'd be happy. Believe me, I don't regret it at all. And I was happy that I'd had the surgery. But there were a lot of issues that I had going on around me at the time, and it resulted in massive anxiety. I was having panic attacks, was afraid to go outside, and I hadn't been like that since the very, very start of my transition. So this time 6 years ago, I was petrified to leave the house, and I went backwards. And I hadn't expected it, but with hindsight and with obviously a lot of time to reflect on that, I think I felt vulnerable because I was a woman, because I was a woman fully, in my eyes anyway. Some people disagree, but you know, this is me I'm talking about. And I felt vulnerable. I felt that for the first time in my life that something that was there was gone, and like you can say, yeah, obviously, evidently, but it was a massive psychological shift and change for me to come to terms with the fact that I had fully transitioned and I had what I wanted. I am so grateful and blessed and honoured and happy and fulfilled that I have done that, but it's taken me a hell of a long time to come to terms with the body that I have now. I love the body that I have now. It works as it should, or as good as it can, and it's amazing, and it's wonderful, and I love it, and I no longer have the anxiety and panic attacks. It's very rare now that I'll stop myself from doing something. If any of you are advocates of TED, or you watch TED Talks and stuff, you might have come across Mel Robbins' 5-second rule TED Talk, and she talks about it's your brain trying to protect you when you want to do something, and then you put the brakes on. So basically, I have adopted the 5-second rule. So, you know, if I'm out doing my run and I've got to start running because I've warmed up, and if I can't be bothered, I'll just go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I'll start running, because I know that I have to push through the things that I don't want to do. You know, if I really don't feel like leaving the house, but I know that I have to, I'll go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I'll push through it. I'm not saying that I don't have bad days. I'm not saying that I still don't feel anxious, because sometimes I do. It's part of life, and I don't beat myself up when I do that. I just try and own it, try and recognise where it's coming from, seeing if it's a pattern of behaviour that I've had in the past, and then reflecting and meditating and working out how I've overcome that in the past. And, you know, it dissipates, but, you know, good times as well as bad. Then nothing's permanent. Life is cyclical, and if you're going through a bad period now in your transition, if you're a trans person and the people around you don't accept you, or you're feeling quite gender dysphoric, or you just had your surgery and you're really scared about how everything's going to heal, or I don't know, someone's just called you a tranny in the street and it's really thrown you, understand that that is that one moment in time, that it's not forever, and that you will get through it. You have 100% survival rate of the days that you've gone through so far. Otherwise, you wouldn't be sitting here watching me. So, you know, take heart in how far you've come. Take heart in the strength and the courage, the determination, and the resilience that you've built in your journey so far. And understand that the good times as well as the bad times, and more emphasis on the bad times in this statement, aren't permanent. You will get through this. You can grow through this, and feeling is healing. So it's a bit of a random one, and I have gone off on a tangent a bit, but this is the message I want to give you today. So this is the message I'm going to be sharing. To everyone who's supported me in the past 6 years, thank you from the bottom of my heart, because your love and acceptance has made me feel like a woman. You will never fully appreciate or understand how much you've done for me, and thank you from the bottom of my heart. There are so many people to mention, and mentioning people by name, I'm bound to forget someone, and I don't want to do that. So if you've been a part of this epic adventure, if you've watched all my blogs, if you've read my blogs, if you've been on my website, if you like my Instagram posts, if you've been a personal friend, if you've been in a relationship with me, if, you know, we've encountered each other at any of the activities that I've done ballet, I've done choir, I've done running, I've done all sorts. I am so grateful to everyone who's just seen beyond the gender identity, seeing beyond the transition and seeing the person. Because to anyone who encounters me, the person, they know I'm a good person, they know I'm a kind person, they know I'm loving, they know I'm loyal, I'm caring, I'm considerate, I'm kind. And yeah, I just love sharing my journey, so I'm still going to keep doing it. Sorry, not sorry. So thank you so much for watching. I look forward to sharing the next 6 years worth of videos with you. I don't blog as often as I used to, but that's because I'm in a better place than I used to be. It is quite therapeutic. Recommend it to anyone who's going through a struggle. You don't necessarily have to share it with anyone, but it does kind of act like a therapy. So thank you to everyone who watched. I love you all, and I'm just going to close off with the usual. Be yourself and no one else. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.